your girl Ava with In the Mix with Beef Fly Beauty. And today in the studio, I have no other than my youngest daughter, Ashlea. And today's topic is going to be really scary. We're going to be talking about momagers and the relationship between mothers and their daughters or sons that's in the industry and the pros and cons of that. So, welcome, Ashley.
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you for coming on during this pandemic, but the show must go on. So, Ashley, tell everyone when you started out modeling.
I started out modeling in middle school. I remember I told you that I was interested in doing modeling, and you did your research on a couple of modeling classes for me. And I would say when I was 13, maybe 12 or 13, I started doing my first class, and then it all started from there.
Okay. So, all right. So we're just gonna jump right in,
Okay.
and so that was the nice version.
Yeah.
Tell them what happened when you started, and let's just be honest about everything. Tell them what happened when you first started and the bookings. Like you went on, because we were together, we went on castings after castings. They were looking at her comp card and like, hey, you know what? We want her to come in. And then it was a thing, and I hate to say this, it was a thing with, how can we put this where it's not, color.
Mm-hmm.
That's the best way that I can put it.
Yeah.
We had a lot of trials due to her complexion.
Yes.
So, I mean, you can go ahead and elaborate on it.
So when I started doing the modeling classes when I was like 12 or 13, I forget which age I was, they basically taught me how to walk and my posing and what to do and what not to do on castings. And they would often send us on castings to get booked for more castings. So we would go find agencies and we would just get scouted at certain days or certain classes. And I ended up leaving school early to go to a casting agency, an acting agency. I forgot the name of it. Do we have to say that?
No, we won't.
Okay,
we won't
say the name.
We won't put it on blast.
Yeah.
South Beach, be careful.
But we ended up going to meet with the agency, and it was for acting, more of modeling. It was more of commercial modeling, so it had the acting aspect of it. And then we actually had a really good conversation with the lady, so we thought everything was legit. And she saw my pictures. We started to upload pictures to the site, and we just thought it was like, okay, we're good, we're set. Like we just put our first foot in the door and only just going to keep going on castings, and we just thought that it was the next step. And we ended up going to our first casting, and it was all the way in South Beach, and it ended up being a very interesting casting. I wouldn't say I wasn't prepared for it, but your first casting, you're not just going to knock it out the park. It's going to be your first time. If you knock it out the park, that means you were just born with the skill. But for other people, you have to learn, and you have to start getting more comfortable with talking in front of people and talking in front of the camera. So it was kind of hard for me to adapt at first. And at such a young age, I was really, really hard on myself. And that's one of the cons of having a momager. Because if it was like a normal manager, she would have been like, girl, you're fine, this, that, and the fifth. But my mom, she was just like, you don't have time to have this negative mindset when you're going into facilities trying to book a gig. That you can't talk bad about yourself before going in front of a bunch of people, putting yourself out there to be judged. You can't be judging yourself before you get judged by other people.
Exactly.
So it was a lot of me comparing myself and me wanting to move with my journey too fast, honestly. So that was probably one of the biggest things with me starting off so young.
Yeah, I feel like she wanted things to happen like right now.
Yeah.
That was
and
her
I feel
big
that
thing.
way right now.
She's actually, you're much better.
Yeah, I'm better.
But things were actually moving pretty, it was moving okay. She got and this was weird, the casting for what was the name of that show? South Beach Toe.
Yeah.
And then that went very, very well, but then someone else came in, and
at the same time I was doing my casting, so it was a little weird. And that's what I was saying, like, for your first casting, it was kind of like it was an eye opener for me, because when you think of castings, you think it's going to be all alone in a room, and then they're going to judge you based off your performance or how well you do at the casting. But it was other people coming in, and then other girls started coming in, and then I was there before a girl, and she went before me. So it was like a whole bunch of confusion going on, and I really, at a young age, I really didn't know how to take it. So I would say that was one of the things as well. I really, at such a young age, like, I thought I was the next big thing. I always say this, I thought I was gonna be the next Naomi Campbell. I thought that my first photo shoot pictures, I was gonna be on Vogue. Like, these pictures are about to be on Target. And I had big dreams and aspirations, but I didn't really understand all the hard work that you had to put into it. Because I only did one photo shoot, and I thought I was just gonna be the next big thing. You have to do so much in order to reach the top, and I was on the first level, but I wanted to be on level 100. So I didn't really understand the steps when I was so young.
And that's where moms, if you're a momager, or I hate that word, momager, but if you're a mom and you have young kids in the industry, I think we need to stop and explain it a little bit more to your child. Me, I'm hardcore. You guys may not see it, but I am hardcore. I will cut you. I don't care if you're family, which I actually cut her. Not cut her with a knife. Let me clarify that I just cut her off. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not managing you. I'm not supporting you in any of this stuff. I mean, it got to that point. And
I would say when I was probably like a year in, and I was still doing the modeling classes at the time when I was still going on castings, etc. But I didn't feel, and I was young, so I kind of felt like an outsider. I kind of felt like I didn't fit in. But instead of expressing that to my mom, I just had an attitude. And that's where I feel like communication should play a big part when you have a mom and daughter, or a son and mom relationship with dealing with the industry. Because how is she supposed to know that I felt left out, or I wasn't really feeling like I was benefiting anything from the class, if every time I just walked in I had an attitude, like I didn't want to be there? So I feel like in her mind, she felt like I didn't want to be a model, I wasn't taking it seriously, I wasn't embracing the opportunity that she had in front of me. So she just cut it off. She told me that she was tired of my attitude. She was like, the crying has to stop. Like, she invested so much time and energy, and she felt like I wasn't giving the same in return, so she just cut it off. And I was only, I think we saw it when I was 14.
Yeah, 14? I think she was 14 when I said I'm not doing it anymore. Now, one thing I can say, if she wasn't my daughter, I would have had probably a little bit more compassion. But because she was my daughter, I was a roughneck.
Yeah.
And I do apologize for some, because I was a little, I guess, gangster with it.
Yeah, but it was, at the end of the day, I feel like it molded me to who I am today, because I feel like if she was more soft or more compassionate with me, I wouldn't see things from a different light. So if, let's say I'm at a casting and the casting director's being rude, if I wasn't her daughter, she was like, it's okay, we just won't book with them anymore. She was like, so what if he's being rude? You're going on a casting, it's a big casting, they're willing to pay you X amount of money, so it doesn't matter if they're being rude, just do your job and then go. So that's my mindset as what to things now, is more, don't look at it as more of an emotional aspect, because at the end of the day, being in the modeling, acting business, period, it's a business.
Now, if they're being rude, but not if they're cursing you out.
Yeah.
If they're cursing you out, no,
Yes.
that's not how we
Yeah,
do things, and
yeah.
you do not have to deal with that.
Yes.
But most of them are rude because
Most of
they
them
have
are
a
rude,
lot of
yes.
stuff going on. So I mean, I take that into consideration, but I do not take being rude to the
Like,
point where you're
blatant
cussing somebody.
disrespect, yeah.
You're disrespectful and cursing someone out, which we'll talk about that later.
yeah.
What happened in London? We'll talk about
Yes,
that later.
yeah.
But so I can say as a mother, it's probably some things that I should have looked at as a mother versus a manager, and vice versa. But I feel like you came out and you were, you accelerated in what you needed to accelerate. Let's see, you turned 16 and you came to me.
Yes, I believe I turned 16 or 17. It was my
Junior year, right?
I believe it was my senior year of high school, because I remember coming back from grad badge and having to go to the class. So I believe it was my senior year.
Okay.
So it was my senior year of high school. I was either 17 or 16.
I think you were 16.
I think I was 16.
Yeah.
And I missed modeling. Like I always, when I stopped modeling, it wasn't a time where I didn't think of what if I would have continued modeling, where would I be? Like that mind never, that always came to my mind. That was always the thought in my mind, because I'm just like, Ashlea, you wasted 3 years of not doing something that you love. Imagine if you did those 3 years consistently, where you would be at now in your modeling career. And I just told my mom that I really miss doing modeling, and the way I went about it at such a young age, I felt like it was an immaturity. I told my mom that I was ready to fully commit to modeling, and I was ready to, give it another try, because I really did miss it, and it was something that really did make me happy. But my mom, she was just like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
She still wasn't.
It took a minute.
Yeah, it took a minute for me to get that trust back with my mom, because my mom put a lot of effort into me modeling, and she took me all over Miami to go to castings, and she was just like, if you do this again, you have to be 100% in it. Like, I don't want no half stepping. Like, you have to give it your all this time. And I was ready. I was.
She really was. It took me probably a couple weeks of her saying it, maybe a month of her keep asking me. But the last thing I said to her, if we do this and I go full force, I don't want to hear nothing. I don't want to hear no type of complaints or nothing. And since then, when I say I went full force, I went full force. Now, in her eyes, she feels like that she's not where she wants to be right now. But I have to tell her, look at all of this stuff that you accomplished. Like, it's so much stuff that she does out there that's not even posted. I mean, it's because that's not the type of person that she is. She's not going to post everything that she does. And she feels like she hasn't accomplished a lot. What models out there, for instance, I can tell you 90% of her gigs are paid gigs, good paying paid gigs. She still feels like she's not accomplished. And it's other models out there that's looking up to you, and you have to sit back and look. If you put a list down of everything that you've done in the past year, I mean, come on, like.
And that's from her momager standpoint. From a model standpoint, when you have goals and you see yourself at a certain point, it's kind of hard to look at your accomplishments now, because you still haven't reached your main goal yet. So that's probably another thing that me and my mom kind of disagree on a lot, because I'm very hard on myself. Like, the way I see myself is the way I want to be. Like, the way I imagine myself and imagining the life that I want to have. And when I don't get it right away, I wouldn't say right away, but once it seems so far away, that's when most of the frustration comes from. But I honestly think me not celebrating every accomplishment that I have or that I make, it keeps me very humble, and it keeps me,
I agree,
not so into myself, because I met a lot of models that was very nose uppity and very like they knew that they were like good models. They was booking a lot of gigs, but I can't walk around with that demeanor yet because I haven't reached to the point that I wanted to. So I feel like that aspect keeps me humble as well. But it can be tiring hearing somebody complain all the time when they're accomplishing a lot of stuff. So I get the standpoint that my mom is coming from as well.
I mean, for example, and these are things that makes me really, really proud of her, and her accomplishments, that sometimes I have to be like, hey, don't be so hard on yourself. This designer found out that you were here in New York and called you to come do a show.
Yeah.
Like, one day she had 4 or 5 shows in one day, and they'll see her Instagram. She'll do something behind the scenes, maybe in her story. They'll say, hey, wait a minute, you're in New York. I mean, she had 3 of them that, they speak Spanish, but they managed to be like, hey, can you come here? So it was literally, she would leave one show and go to another show. So, I mean, this was, New York doing September was actually awesome for you. And then we went directly, no, that was September. Then we went directly to London.
Oh, okay, yeah, I remember.
Geneva, then London, yeah. But that was,
and that's
that
a
was
good
good.
point to point out with the momager and the daughter and your child relationship as well, because when you're dealing with a manager and you're dealing with a model, it's certain decisions that you have to make. And I feel like sometimes with momagers, they look at the situation, they won't give the advice that they would give a normal model that's not their child. Because, for instance, I would ask my mom, like, Mom, do you think I should do this? But then it's my fault because I calling her mom every 2 seconds. But I would say it's
at the craziest times.
Yeah, I would be like, Mom, do you think I should take this gig or take this?
And they'd be like, wait a minute, that's your mother?
Yeah.
She throws people off with that.
I throw them off every single time.
Like, wait a minute, that's your mother?
Yeah. And I'd be asking her opinions, like, which gig do you think? She'd be like, Ashlea, you're a grown woman. You could pick out the opportunities yourself. But on a manager standpoint, I feel like you should be like, no, Ashlea, you did this show like 3,000 times. Like, this is a bigger opportunity for you. And sometimes I just need to hear that I'm making the right decision. But my mom is like, no, you're grown. You gotta make that decision.
Well, and
yourself.
the reason why I do that, because when I used to tell her, like, okay, so let me tell you, Ashlea as a teenager, if she wasn't modeling, she felt like she was, nothing. Not like she was nothing, but she felt like she was missing something. So she would take on all of these, all of these gigs, and I'm like, why are you doing these gigs? Why? And every time she would go, something would happen, and she would be so distraught to the point where I wouldn't be taking her to them, because I'm like, why are you doing these type of gigs? You're not this type of model, so why are you doing these type of gigs?
Yeah.
And she would always tell me, oh, because I don't want to feel like I'm losing it, da da da. And she was like, well, I haven't modeled in a week. And I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. And I'm out of that mindset now, you guys.
Yes, because she had one bad experience.
I had one bad experience.
Really bad experience. And she called me and I was like,
yeah, let's go. Go home.
Go home then. Like, oh, you learned your lesson now? Yeah. After I told you, like, why are you doing this?
I think it's just because I'm so ambitious and determined. Like, even when I'm in New York, like, I dress as a model. Like, because I always feel like you don't know who
model every day. So
like, it don't matter where I go. Even like my 9-to-5 job, I dress up. Like, because you never know who you're going to meet. You don't know what opportunities that you're going to get. So
everywhere you dress is like a model.
I dress like a model. Like, I always carry myself to a certain standard. And every time, it could be a low show, like, you don't, it could be like a show that I've done like 30 times and never gained anything from it, but I never want to miss the opportunity because you don't know who's watching you, you don't know who's going to be there. But it was at a certain point where it was just like, actually, you did this show 30,000 times. You should like be wanting to do the next step, like go to the next level. Even if you don't book a big show this year, just keep trying. Don't just keep doing the same level shows, because that's when you get comfortable. And I felt like I knew I was getting comfortable when it was a point where castings, I wasn't getting nervous anymore. And me and my mom always have this thing where before a casting, I'm just like, my stomach hurt, and my mom was like, "Oh, you nervous? Huh?
Yeah,
you
nervous. And it's good to be
and it's
nervous.
good to be nervous.
It's good to be nervous because it's like you're challenging your nerves at that point.
Yeah.
So it's real good to be nervous.
And it was to a certain point where I was like, oh, okay, I'm about to just go on this casting real quick. Like, I'll be out in like 10 minutes. Don't worry about it. And she was like, all right, I'll stay here. And I didn't like that feeling because I felt like I was real comfortable. And it's good to build relationships in the industry, but I feel like it's not good to get comfortable. And
never get comfortable.
Because then you're comfortable. That means you're okay with being at that point. And I'm not okay with being at that point. I see myself all the way at the top. So I started to challenge myself more, and I started to focus on the gigs that would benefit me the best and gigs that would help me get more gigs. Because the bigger gigs you do, I realize the more opportunities come for bigger gigs. So after I did my first Miami Fashion Week, that's when I realized that I wasn't comfortable, and I was okay with that because I was so used to doing shows and doing I was so used to doing local shows and like having to do my own makeup and do my own hair. But once I did like an official Miami Fashion Week show with top name designers from all around the world, and we actually spoke that show into existence because I did a swim week show, and we actually had to go to like a certain place that has the same stage settings and the same amount of people and the amount of coverage that they was having for swim week. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to do shows like that. And me and my mom was just talking about like, one day you will. And then I ended up doing the show, and it was very new to me. I wasn't very comfortable, and I was just like, this is good. This is a good feeling. And that was probably the first time in a long time where I was nervous to the point where I was literally shaking. It felt like I was
said you were shaking before you even walked out.
Before I even walked out, I was shaking. It felt like I was doing my first ever fashion show again. But then as soon as I stepped on the runway, I was fine. So, and that was just confirmation to me that it's like, Ashlea, these are the type of shows that you need to be doing. Do you feel the feeling that you get right now? Like, you don't feel this feeling when you're doing local shows or when you're doing the same show over and over again. You get a feeling that you get a different type of high. I use that word lightly. But you get a different type of high, you get a different type of feeling, and it's more of a rewarding feeling as well. Because there's nothing worse than leaving the gig and feeling like you left with nothing. And with that show, I seriously almost had tears in my eyes backstage because I couldn't believe it. And then even with the New York show that my mom was referencing earlier, the designer saw that I was in New York and asked me could I walk for them. And I had like 3 shows booked.
You were at one show when they had.
I was at the show, and we was in hair and makeup, and I was like, Mom, this guy wants me to walk for him, and I walked for him during South Florida Fashion Week, and I was just like, Mom, like, I'm canceling all the shows, like, I'm walking for him for this show, and his designs are amazing. And here's to go back a little bit to talk about people being rude, or what the respect level we was talking about. So when I first met the designer that I walked for in New York and here in Florida, he wasn't very nice. He was rude. He was one of those designers that don't play. And it's so much you have to do. I personally get it. But if I would have been rude back, And if I would have stepped out of my, if I would have just been like, who are you talking to like that? You're not about to talk to me like that. And just like go off and just be like, I'm not walking for him. No, I'm not walking for him. You're going to respect me. I would have never gained another opportunity from that. So, and then afterwards, after the show, he saw how well I walked and how beautiful that I looked in his designs, that he even came up to me after just to give me a hug and a kiss. So when you meet people and you're like, oh my God, they're so rude, I will never do this again, you just gotta understand the business aspect of it. Because once you're doing the bigger upper name shows, nobody has time for you to be on your phone. Nobody has time for you to be playing. Like, you have to be seriously a walking mannequin. They don't care about your feelings at that certain standpoint. But after everything is done, that's when, and you do a good job, that's when the relationship starts to build in certain situations.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Now, let's talk about things that bothered you about me being your momager. Let's be raw with them.
So,
and I'm prepared. Okay. I'm prepared for it.
So with my mom, I with her being the my mom and with her being my momager, I felt like for certain, because when you're a mom, it's like, me and my mom, we always had a good relationship and we always could talk. Like, I tell my mom probably too much information sometimes, and my mom would be like, girl, like, but,
sit down somewhere.
Yeah, like, sit down somewhere, literally. She'd be telling me to go sit down, have several seats. And, it would be, when you're a mom, it's not an instance where you feel like your daughter should tell you what to do. And I feel like that's probably the only thing that's really difficult with being the mom and then being a momager, because when it's a manager, you could tell your manager like, I don't want to do that. Can you message this for me? But my mom would be like, no, I cannot message them for you. This is you. I can't be there to respond to each and every message. You got to learn how to be more independent. Even if she always put in a standpoint like, even if when you go to someone higher, but I always feel like my mom would be my manager. I'm just saying, but she just tells me that you still have to have some sort of independence. And at the time, I really didn't understand that. I'm like, Mom, but
oh my God,
can you do it for me? Like, I don't get what's wrong.
So
without
mad.
Yes, I'm like, why can't you do it for me? Like, I don't get why I have to do it. But it really did teach me independence, and it came to the point where I could answer email on my own and then get all the information that my mother needed. And then she did her further research on it. And she just taught me how to look through everything. Like, just don't get excited about every message that you get. Look through it.
Look through it. Do your research. Because it was times where I got messages about being on a magazine, and then my mom looked into it and she was like, girl, that's not real. And it was times where I got opportunities for a TV to be on one of the like big modeling shows on TV, but the whole thing turned up not to be real. So my mom, she basically put those skills onto me to just teach me how to be more independent and know everything, like, just for myself, just to have some sort of independence, because I will always count on my mom for everything. And I guess after a while, she was just like, you getting a little bit too dependent on me. Yeah, and then the thing is, you know, it's agencies out there. You know, we're not an agency yet, end of the year. But anyway, I'll put that out there now. But we're not an agency yet. But I feel like with her skill level, you know, once the proper agency, now she gets hit up by agencies, but I mean, if they're doing the same thing I'm doing, I mean, she might as well, you know, stay, you know, under my umbrella. But I just feel like she's going to be at the next level, and she may need a stronger agency who's used to dealing with high profile. And I'm not saying that I can't handle it, because I will ride it like Seabiscuit. I will ride it till the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
But if I feel like this is something that they can do better than I can do, so I wanted her to be prepared. Okay, so if this happens, you have to learn how to respond to these people. So the good thing of that, when I have showcases now, she handles my emails perfectly. Like, it's like streamlined. She handles my emails, and I was impressed, because on an average a day, the emails that I get, I mean, it's manageable.
Especially
now.
Around Showtime.
Showtime, the amount of emails are ridiculous.
Yeah.
Right now, it's manageable, because I get anywhere from maybe 25 to 40 emails. It's slow now due to the pandemic, but doing Showtime,
it's like at least 100.
Okay, because you have designers, you have
models,
vendors, models, you have makeup artists, hair,
you have the people that's
photographer, like you have all of these different aspects.
A bunch of people that has questions, they want to know final details, and last minute information.
She handles it perfectly, and it's to the, like, she doesn't even have to call me for anything. If it's something that she's not quite sure, she'll hit me up, but that's far and few.
Yeah.
So, that did teach her a business aspect, so she can manage. She can manage on the administrative side. Like, that's like executive assistant handling all of those type of emails. But to me, that taught her a lot of independence. And, even though I travel with her going out of town and out of the country, she's out there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm at the hotel and I'm handling B-Fly business, but
And I think that's what I had a problem with at first, because I'm very clingy to my mom. I feel like just because of how our relationship is, that's what made me really, really clingy. And like, I always want my mom with me, and I will ask her, like, sometimes, like, because I'm 21 now, and she was like, Ashlea, you're grown, you have to go inside this casting by yourself. I can't go in every casting with you. And that's probably the one thing that probably took me the longest to adapt, and that I still, even like the last casting that I went on, remember for Lottery?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was telling you to go in there with me, and she was like, girl, no.
And I've been trying this since 18, but but it's something about New York. It's something about New York. New York, she is good to go.
No, New York.
New York,
I be leaving my mom in the dust in New York. Okay,
I'm like, hello.
I be just walking.
Then New York, like, that's where she wants to live, and actually, she will probably do very well after the pandemic. After a while after the pandemic,
probably like 2000.
Couple years, just to see how everything is going. But she actually does very well in New York. She gets around very well. People are like, oh my gosh, she's by herself, and like, she's been doing it. I'm there, but I'm also handling business. I mean, I'm getting so many comp industry, tickets to these events. Like, I was giving, I was away tickets like crazy.
Yeah. Last time in New York, she had so many events to go to.
Oh my god!
That it was like overwhelming. She was like, I'm just gonna go to one, and then that's it.
Yeah,
like, I'm gonna just give these tickets out, because she's like, I can't do it. It was way really, too much.
And then I'm trying to figure out, okay, which one? Should I go to this one? Oh, I need to go to this one. I go to this one. And then some of the events, they all was at the same time.
Yeah.
That Friday night, we really, Friday night, I had planned on doing five events, actually the whole day on Friday, but that flight was so that is the worst flight I ever been on in life.
Yeah.
To the point where I was like, oh Lord, are we gonna make it?
Yeah, it was
bad.
really scary, really
and to have a flight, first of all, you're getting up at 4, and you got to be at the airport by 5:30. That's nothing. We do that all the time.
Yeah.
We do that all the time. But then when you take off and you feel like you're about to die, the plane do a mega drop.
before even going to like 3,000 feet.
Yeah, like 3 minutes within the flight, and to do a major drop. And if the flight from here to New York
was so bad.
It was the whole trip was like that, and then we landed. We didn't even know that because it looked like we were still in the clouds.
You thought we were still in the air.
Yeah,
and
so
I feel like that's good. On the manager side as well, on the mom side of being a momager as well, because I had a full blown anxiety attack on the plane.
Oh yeah.
Like the people standing by me, they was like, "Are you gonna be okay?" I'm like,
yeah, like.
Like I couldn't breathe, I couldn't think right, and then I had to get off the plane and immediately go to a show.
Which that was like
and
crazy.
Usually, like on my momager side, she would be like, Ashlea, your call time is at 10. And I was kind of still having a lot of anxiety in the bathroom, and I feel like her mom's side kicked in more of the manager, because once we hit New York, it's more manager, and then after the show and we would go to eat, we start to have that mommy daughter talk. But I feel like my mom knows how to turn it on and when to turn it off. Like my mental health and my well-being is more important than anything with my mom. So she feels like I need a second, or I need to sit, or if I need to just breathe, or just go home.
Cry or go home. It's nothing wrong with going home
plenty of
after
times
you. Yeah.
Where I call my mom and I'm just like, Mom, I literally cannot be here right now. And she was like, girl, go home. Like, I'll be outside at so and so. I'll call you when I'm outside.
Yeah.
And then that even happened like after the crazy plane ride. And I had to, start getting ready to, be presentable to go to the
show was
it wasn't a big show,
but it was
a big name show.
It was a big name show, but it was
the production this year wasn't to the standard as it usually is, I would say.
But you never did that production before. On pictures,
that's what I mean.
It looks like
it looked like one of those big shows, and I was just like, I booked two big shows for New York. I was like cloud nine.
And see, that's another thing. Once you start doing these big shows, you don't care about the little other shows. Yeah. So really, she booked one big show, and
I felt
that's
like that was enough.
That was the only reason why we had actually went, and it was good because Project Runway showcased her all on social media.
Yeah. I got posted on their actual page.
Yeah, she got posted on their page. They did video of the event, live event.
It was people
Project
from
Runway.
There. It was people from Bravo. It was big name supermodels there. So I feel like with my mom telling me it was okay to leave the other show, she just trusted that that was like the best decision for me. And she knew I had to get my headspace right. Because
my headspace wasn't right. So I know if mine wasn't right, I know hers wasn't right. Because she had a full blown panic attack.
Yeah, on the plane. Like, I thought I was going to need like a bag or something. Because I just couldn't
breathe.
Yeah, I couldn't breathe. Like, I was trying to catch my breath. And then I drank coffee before that flight as well. So that was kind of a bad idea.
And then you didn't sleep the night before because we had to get up. We had to get up early. Yeah. And that we probably won't ever do that again. Book, because I actually got her this booking, the one that our plane landed at 9.
Like 9:15.
9:15.
Her
call time. Yeah. I had talked to them and let them know, hey, she'll be there by 10. But it was just too much. When I got there, I was just like, I was okay. And then I actually had, it's amazing, I had comp tickets for one of the shows, and they were like, 2.5 hours, 3 hours behind.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what?
Because she was supposed to come to my second show. She didn't have tickets for my first show, so she was going to come to my second show. And the second show was supposed to start at
at 12.
No, I think it was
12:30.
Yeah, 12:30.
Yeah.
And our call time was 10, and the show was supposed to start at like 11, and then the other people were supposed to come out, and then like a quick switcheroo. But it didn't end up going like that, and I was just talking to my mom, and that's when the momager side started to kick in. She knew that I wasn't mentally there to be dealing with that, like the foolishness. So, and she knew that I had a bigger show coming up that I had to do fittings for, and she just knew that I had to be on my A game. So she was just like, let's just leave, let's go get some pizza, and let's just relax. Let's go home, let's take a nap, and then we're gonna start fresh tomorrow. And then I seriously rocked the fitting, but I was still nervous. I was still nervous.
Good. It's good to be nervous.
Because when you're walking for big name designers, you can get cut at any moment. And it's very nerve wracking as well. And sometimes you just have to like, and you see like all your model friends getting cut, and you just like, oh, please don't look at me. You like trying to dodge the designer. I seriously went to the bathroom like 30 times. I'm like, I don't want to be seen right now. But she knew. I'm glad that she told me that it was okay, and I didn't need to be there, because if I would have just stayed there and been like miserable that whole day, that fitting, I probably would have been like, ugh. Mm-hmm. Like I probably would have been so exhausted, so tired, and just so over it, that I probably would have left a bad impression to lead to the point where they probably would have cut me or something. So her momager and manager
I've gotten
instincts
better.
kick in, and I feel like for both of us, we just had to grow and learn about each other more on that aspect, because it's sometimes very challenging having a momager, but having that support system from your mom, and then knowing that she's not going to mess you over like a random manager would, it gives me some sense of security, and it gives me a sense of support, like I said earlier. So I know sometimes having a mom and a momager relationship, it could be hard, but in our case, it was more rewarding as well, because we honestly support each other. Like we bounce off each other energy, and if she's down about like her show, or when something is not going right, then we talk about it. If something's not going right with me, we talk about it. It's like we always there for each other. So it's good to still have a mom and daughter relationship while still having a momager, and then always assuring that you don't let business take over your relationship.
And I'm not gangster no more. I mean, I am, but I'm not gangster with her far as gigs and stuff now. I'm gangster with you still. Really? Mm-hmm. When the last time I did it? I'm still gangster with you?
Yeah. Mama gangster, y'all. She a gangster.
I just like, I'll cut, let me tell you, it doesn't matter if you're family, I'll cut you in a minute. We're going to talk with my oldest daughter.
Yes.
I cut her.
Ashlea needs to be on.
I cut her. Like, and people go around and they're talking about me. Why did she put so much energy in Ashlea? And Ashlea is a wonderful model, and she doesn't put that much energy in model. First of all, you need to mind your business. That's the first thing. That's the first thing.
Just because it's not shown,
it's not shown.
It's not happening.
I am a big supporter of her, but if you don't follow the path that I am setting out for you, so you can get to that next level, then I'm not working with you.
Yeah.
So
because she cut me off too.
Let me tell you, if I do it with, this is just to tell you what type of manager I am. If I can do it with my kids and cut them off, and from kids I cut them, from teenager I cut them. Ashlea, I cut Ashlea for years. Then I'm like,
Ashlea was cut longer than me.
You're not representing anything that I do. It was just last year when Asia came to me. She was like, Mom, I want to do it. I'm ready to listen to you.
What was your first show after that show?
Really?
After the very first one you did in Hollywood.
So it was about 2 years.
Yeah, it was about 2 years.
about 2 years ago, and then she started taking it serious. And since she started taking it serious,
she did develop.
She's developed very, very well.
She booked 2 big shows for Swim Week in one season.
And
that's hard to do.
Yeah, it's very hard to do.
For her first Swim Week, that's very hard to do.
So she did that. It was paid gigs, and that just left a good taste in her mouth. And then she was like, she started following, even down to the point of makeup. You need to learn how to have your makeup. I spoke to in one of my other segments, I'm going to be talking with you guys about makeup, especially the females. We're going to be doing an online workshop. Yes, we're going to be doing an online workshop for aspiring models and models that walk on a regular. But anyway, that's a whole nother segment. But yeah, so if I cut my own daughters, don't think I won't cut you.
And honestly, you're not going to get nowhere with people being nice to you. If you expect people to be nice to you, it's going to be really, really hard. Because I'm not saying like the industry is cutthroat all the time, but I'm just saying
it's more cutthroat than anything.
It's more cutthroat than anything. Because at the end of the day, you have to do what you got to do as a model. And if somebody sees you slacking, they're going to say something. So, and then there are nice people, in the industry, but there are times where it's show production and they turn into a completely different person because it's not the time to be nice anymore. And you got to understand, sometimes nice people get ran over. So you have, your manager or whoever is being mean to you, it's just, you don't have to take it as them being mean. You just have to take it like, okay, it's showtime. Like, we gotta rock and roll. Like, it's no time to be playing right now. So you just have to, that emotional aspect, that's why she cut me when I was so younger. I was too emotionally detached. Like, I wore my heart on my sleeves.
And trusted everybody.
And trusted everyone.
You can't trust everybody in this industry. You really can't.
I believe everything. Like, I remember I got an email from Allure magazine, and I just thought it was legit. And my mom was like, nobody from Allure magazine is going to message you with 511@gmail.com. She was like, that email don't even sound right.
That email is not legit, okay?
And I was like, oh my gosh, are you sure? And she was like, Ashlea, they're asking you for money. I was just like, okay.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, if they're asking you for money, just know that that's a no-no.
Don't give nobody no money.
And you guys hear me say that all the time. It is no money. It's no registration fee to do any of that. I don't know when it came about, when they have like registration fees and stuff for these things, but those are things to watch out for. But like I said, we're gonna have a workshop, online workshop, while this pandemic is going on. That would air next week, and I probably have both my daughters. But from a mom perspective, at the time, I felt like I did what I needed to do. But I was, I had to sit back and think sometimes, because I was cutthroat. I mean, it was one, but wait a minute, but that one gig, let me tell you, she woke up and she was like, Nish,
that was my fault. That was my fault.
We booked this gig. She auditioned. They loved her, and it was with New York Film Academy, okay? She booked it, paid gig. She woke up and said that...
No, I wouldn't get up. And then when I finally got up,
oh yeah,
because I wouldn't get up.
You told me you didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So I left. I was pissed. Like, that's when that gangster came out.
Yeah, and she pissed. Left, and then I went back to sleep, and then the covers just back.
Now see, that was mom. That wasn't manager, and that's when sometimes I have to realize, okay, I'm crossing the line of mom manager, but I let her.
Yo, she let me have it.
I let her have it.
Yeah, and I was just like within 30 minutes, and we was on the way to the gig. I'm like, oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, but guess what happened? When she went to that gig, she met a producer from Love and Hip Hop. And then she became one of the exclusive extras for. I mean, you did. Oh my gosh, she did so many episodes of Love and Hip Hop, and they so tried her.
Yeah.
They show her legs,
My finger.
Yeah, she did a nail salon scene. But the good thing about her, she makes her own decisions at that point, what part she would film in and what she wouldn't film in. So when she's filming, believe it, it's only like 4 or 5 people in the scene. It's never going to be this big old fight scene and all of that.
I never really saw a fight scene. I saw like a little argument, but like with bottles and drinks being thrown. No, sorry.
Yeah, so I mean, it was just a little disappointing to see all of the time that she went. I mean, you know, and they only the bartender. Yeah, they gave her a good. They gave her a good shot for the bartender and in the boutique where you getting.
But that was
in legs. All you see is her legs.
But it was okay because I honestly really did have a lot of fun shooting for Love and Hip Hop Miami, and even though I was the extra, I met a lot of people. Like I met a lot of really cool people, and I actually really did have a good time. Even though we was on set, it was still a fun atmosphere. After the second season, I'm just like, Ashlea, come on, you did one whole season. It's okay.
I mean, and you was doing sometime too, because sometimes
they 2 scenes a day.
2 scenes a day, or sometimes they film twice or 3 times during the week.
Yeah,
and it's always after 7.
Yeah,
and then
Yeah, I was just like, Ashlea, you don't have to do every season.
Yeah.
But then I also did extra for Betty in NYC. I know y'all know.
Betty Takes New York.
Yeah, we did a couple episodes of that together too. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and that's paid. That's paid as well.
Yeah, but overall, with having a momager on a child standpoint, it's honestly amazing, and I wouldn't want nobody as my manager right now, because I just feel like she is just helping me grow, and you need someone genuine, like as your mother, someone that's going to tell you when you're right and when you're wrong, and not just tell you things that you want to hear. And you need somebody that will keep you humble and to know how to put you in your place, because if it was anybody else talking to me like how my mom be putting me in my place, I wouldn't have that manager no more. But I know her heart and I know where it's coming from. So overall, having a manager from since I was 13, I'm now 21. Wow. So since I was 13, at first it was hard, but the longer we've been with each other, the easier it has gotten. And I wouldn't change a lot of things. I feel like our communication has gotten better, and I feel like that's the key with any relationship is communication. But we're good.
We're good. And you know what? And I'm just gonna close it at this. I think the cycle repeats itself. So my mom and I had encounters. Growing up as a child model, Ashlea actually was way bigger than what I was. I mean, the shows that I did were big shows, but she does way more than what I did. But as far as somebody checking me, my mom used to check me. I mean, I didn't even do half the stuff Ashley do. My mom would check me, and she would check me in front of everybody. I won't ever do that. I won't ever check you. Oh, my mom used to get me, boy. She used to get me. But used to straighten me up. Yeah. But I would never check her in front of anybody. I feel
like the worst thing you would probably do is embarrass your child. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to be like the girl. You remember when your mom cussed you out that one time at the show? I don't know. No. Like, I would think everything's all cool and dandy. Like, she would be like at a casting with me, and then we would get in the car. She was like, Ashley, you better not ever in your life do that again. And then she just started telling me like the things that I need to improve on and the things that is not acceptable when going to a casting. So Overall, I just feel like communication, private communication is key. No, nothing in public. Yeah.
Now, mind you, now for the models who I send on gigs now, um, if it's anything like that goes haywire or anything, they can tell you I'm never the one. I'm never gonna. My relationship with Ashley is my relationship with Ashley. That is a mom manager.
Yeah.
But me managing other people,
It's gonna
no
be
one has
different.
ever had an issue because all I would do is like, okay, I just won't work with you anymore.
Yeah.
That's it. I won't yell or anything. Now, if you want to have a conversation after I've made my decision, then we will we can have that conversation. But I'm just like, oh, okay, I just won't work with you anymore.
Yeah, she was just do that cut off thing that she did.
Yeah, that's what I do. I will cut.
But
you
instead,
off.
with me being her daughter, she gave me another chance after a month. But after my mom, if she feeds off energy, if she's working hard, she want to see you working hard. If she feel like you're slacking, she's not going to give you this time of day. As soon as you can't lose momentum with my mom, because I can't be like, oh, I'm going to do Paris Fashion Week next, and then do like some, I'm not trying to talk down on the show, but like a ring dig show down here. She was like, Ashley, what are you doing? You get what I'm saying? So
like, what
you
are
have
you
to
thinking about? What are you thinking about? Even
you
to the standard of shows that she does everywhere else, my shows are great.
Yeah,
but
your
it's
shows
not
are amazing.
It's not Paris, but my shows are great. It's not Paris yet. But my shows are great. But I don't even want her to really walk in my shows.
I'm walking,
and I know that sounds like crazy. You would want her to walk, but I just feel like she's bigger than that. Now my shows, I absolutely love my shows. I get great reviews. I take time and I make sure everything is in is,
and I'm
is
always
order.
the backstage coordinator.
Yes,
always.
Yeah. And that's the thing that she learned from me. That's the thing that she learned from me.
Because
and she's
at
excellent.
the end of the day, how I see it, my mom worked so hard to put the showcase together. The last thing that she needs to worry about is the model that can't find her shoes. Like, she should be out there greeting people because this is her business, this is her name, and this is her event. The last thing she should be is backstage worrying about why the model not dressed. Like, you put all that on me. You give me all the emails. You handle everything that like has to do with the venue and the chairs and the draping and the stage. I handle everything else. So
and that really does help me out. It really does help me out.
Because it's seriously possible for her to be at two places at one time. If you really think about it, how she's going to be greeting guests, networking, getting to know people that comes to her shows, and then while backstage and models complaining about that they don't like their makeup. It's like certain things that she just won't have to do when I'm around. Yeah.
But I hope this was informative. I'm so glad that we had this time to do this. But we love being around each other. Like I say, you guys don't even see the goofy side of us because we can get pretty goofy.
You should check out her vlog.
Watch her vlog.
By both New York blogs, we are crazy.
I mean, a lot of times I didn't even know she was recording, and then if I do see her recording, it's just something I do. That doesn't mean that I'm mean, but it's just something I do. When she turns the camera on me, I'm like this. Because she does it at the weirdest times. She does it at the weirdest times. Yeah. But it's just one thing I wanted to say that we didn't touch base on. Tell them just a little bit about the designer in London.
Okay, so it was this designer, and you know how I'm saying some designers are cutthroat, but it was to a certain extent. It's cutthroat, but not on a disrespectful level. It's just like, why are you not dressed? Go get dressed. Why are your shoes on? Go fix your shoes. Go tell them to fix your hair. Go tell them to put your lipstick on. It's that type of assertive. But once it comes to a point where it's disrespectful, that's when it's the issue, and that's when you should stand up for yourself. And that's something that my mother taught me. Assertive and disrespect is two totally different things. So it was this incident where this designer, I guess I wasn't moving fast enough for her to get away from her table, and the way her aggressive tone, it wasn't assertive, but it was just downright disrespectful. And she was just making a whole scene, commotion, acting a fool. And with how I see it as the designer, you are uplifted to a certain standard. And when you're assertive, you don't have to yell. You don't have to make a whole scene in the room. You could be assertive without being arrogant. So the designer, she was just cutting up, acting a complete fool, and she wanted to talk to my designer. And I'm just like, you could talk to him like all you want. Like, I'm still gonna walk for him at the end of the day.
But I just contract with him.
Yeah, so I was just like, you could scream, you could yell, and I'm just like, and as soon as I even like tried to like explain anything, she was like, tell her not to talk to me, just being all types of disrespectful. So I was just like, it was very hard for me to not completely get out of my character. And it was to the point where people was like, girl, how are you so calm? But I would never get out of character for somebody like that. It's not worth it. Mm-hmm. Because now I'm known as the model that was arguing with a designer backstage. I don't know that designer, and I don't care to know that designer. You get what I'm saying? No designer is worth you making, because at the end of the day, as a model, I feel like you are one of the most important pieces of having a fashion show. There's no fashion show without no model. So just because, like I said earlier, designers are held up to a certain standard, and as a model, you can hold yourself up to a certain standard as well.
Exactly.
But with my standard, you're not going to get what you would see like out like or the street corner, like two people arguing. You're not going to get that out of me, especially at a professional. We had London Fashion Week. Like you're not going to get on that level with me. But it takes a lot of self-control.
Yes.
And with her teaching me not to wear my emotions on my sleeve, it really taught me how to handle that situation in the right way. But I will say, after, it really did irk my nerves a lot, and I was just like, I just had a whole attitude, and my mom was like, that designer really got you mad, huh? I was just like, Mom, you just don't know. And I could have handled it in a way worse way too. I could have went on a whole Instagram rant. I could have asked the designer. I could have messaged the designer and be like, you had me messed up. But it just takes like a certain, like, I wasn't mad about it for like a week. But after that, I was just like, girl, I just walked in London Fashion Week, like, for the headliner designer. So it was like, he got a standing ovation and all that, right? So I'm just like,
I did media coverage.
Yeah, she did media and got reposted. That was so awesome. But yeah.
But it's one of the videos I didn't tag because I was just being nice, and the designer asked, can they get the video before I finished doing the edit and put my...
Who the designer I got into it?
No, I went on, because that designer did that, I sent her stuff, and I still send her stuff even after all that she did. Yeah, you still gotta keep it professional. Because that's her business. I had a job I had to do, so I still sent her that stuff.
And honestly, it wasn't that big of a deal at the end of the day.
But no one should ever let anyone speak to them like that, because you're, first of all, you're
assertive
human.
And disrespect. Two totally different things, you guys.
Two different
so
things.
Always remember that. Always remember to always stay 10 toes. You know when somebody's being assertive, and you know when somebody's being arrogant and very disrespectful. So just make sure you know the difference between the two. And even if you're being disrespected, I'm not saying
you still can handle it professionally.
I'm not saying when we was in that when she was talking to me, I didn't say anything. I was definitely speaking my opinion, but it wasn't to the point where I was getting disrespectful and I was getting out my character. It's a point where it's just like, where's this conversation going? So it's okay to remove yourself out of certain situations. Just to remain professional. You always got to be professional. Always gotta be on time. Always gotta be professional.
Be on time. Be
Yeah.
on time. Be on
Always
time.
gotta be on time. Always gotta be professional, and just understand that some things are just not worth messing up. Because especially in the industry, you can do one bad thing and then boom. So you just gotta remember.
And your name with this industry, your name will
Your
carry.
name is so. Your name
it
is so
would definitely
important.
carry.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, thanks for watching. And if you want to be a guest on our future shows when this pandemic is over, you can reach us at askbflybeauty@gmail.com. If you want to reach out to Ashlea, what's your information, Ashlea?
My Instagram is @theofficialashlea, and my Twitter is officialashlea_s.
All right. Again, this is Ava when you're watching In the Mix with B-Fly Beauty. Smooches. Bye.
My thing, Lamborghini, blue Medina, always beaming, rag top, chrome pipes, blue lights out of sight. Long weed, sold in, say it again, sold in. Make that money, throw it in, booty bouncing, go ahead. Rolls Royce, Lamborghini, blue Medina, always beaming, rag top, chrome pipes, blue lights out of sight. Long weed, sold in, say it again, sold in. Make that money.